Hey friends, welcome to the Hughescast. This is episode 14 called The Comfort of Books. I hope you like it. Growing up in my small rural childhood, books were my window to the wider world. At an early age, I hunted a murderer in the alleys of Paris with Dupin, outwitted blackmailers in London with Sherlock Holmes, stole from pirates with Travis McGee down in Florida, hunted whales with Ishmael in Nantucket, boxed with Spencer in Boston, sailed the Nile with Hercule Poirot, swung from trees with Tarzan, visited brave new worlds under the tutelage of Isaac Asimov, and cracked wise in L.A. with Philip Marlowe. It was a big, bold world out there, and the 800-person town we lived 10 miles away from seemed isolated and provincial by comparison. In those books, I was exposed to not just different geography, but different ideas and different kinds of people. People who knew what wine to drink with what food, who liked art and understood it, people who were shameless womanizers and other people who were feminists, people who hated the church, people who were witches, who were Muslim, who were Catholic, who were Druids. That tiny one-room library in that 800-person town filled my childhood hours with adventure and excitement. The way it smelled, the lighting, the posters on the wall, the massive oak desk with the retired English teacher who was our town's librarian behind it, with her reading glasses on a chain around her neck. The gestalt of it all felt a lot like magic. Actually, no, it felt holy. Later, as an adult, I would go through a horrible divorce. I mean, is there any other kind? And I would quit my good job and I would buy a paperback bookstore in Midtown Memphis. It was my act of rebellion, my following the admonition of Wendell Berry to every day do something that won't compute. It was, I would later say, a great way to go broke slowly. I watched my income drop by $80,000 year over year, and I went from living in a large apartment overlooking the parkway to a tiny attic room over a friend's office. I delivered pizzas at nights to support the bookshop, and I entered into all sorts of ill-advised romantic relationships with art college students who loved the romance of a bookshop. Later, I would learn that it was not uncommon for addicts to sleep with their dealers. I leaned into the bohemian existence of a man in his early 30s who drank wine from boxes, listened to jazz piano, walked to work, and read. Man, did he read. Books would save me during this time. Every moment I was at home in my tiny attic room, I had a book open. I read poetry, complicated fiction, magical realism, sci-fi, biographies of all the major beat writers. Then I learned Truman Capote said Kerouac wasn't writing, he was just typing. I loved that. So I read all of Capote. It was an intense year. I would open the shop at 10 in the morning Tuesday through Saturday, but I've always been an early riser. So I would find myself at the store around 7:30 many mornings, drinking coffee, sitting on the couch in the middle of the store, surrounded by books. The shop had large windows that faced north, giving good soft light throughout the day. And in the early mornings, the edge of the sun would peek through, casting light across the shelves. Motes of dust would drift lazily through the sunbeams, and Thelonious Monk would play on the 80s era jam box I had hid behind the counter. During those times, when the stacks of bills on the counter went unopened, when I could briefly not think about the many people I had let down, and the rural life I had walked away from, and the marriage I had walked away from, and the careers I had walked away from, when I could just briefly stop walking away and just be on that couch, surrounded by thousands of books. It was then, and only then, that I felt the way I always assumed a better person than I was would feel in church. I'm Hugh Hollowell, and I've been your host today. To find out more about what I do, please visit hughhollowell.org. While you're there, drop me a line to let me know what you're up to or what you hope for. Y'all take care of each other, okay?